book. He helped with Prop 215. He's an expert court witness to defend Prop 215, the integrity of Prop 215, and the list goes on and on for Chris Conrad, author of Hemp Lifeline to the Future, amongst many other works that this man, Chris Conrad, I welcome to the stage. Thank you, Chris, for your decades and decades and decades of work in this movement.
All right. Thanks, Mike, and thanks, everybody. I want to make sure that we thank Buddy over here and everybody who's working on this movement. You know, it was 25 years ago that Jack Hare and I were talking about what we were going to do about changing the world and legalizing cannabis, and we decided to write an initiative. So we got together with 40 of our best friends down in Malibu, California, actually Venice Beach, come to think of it, get my town straightened out here, and we had a meeting where we drafted the first language of the California Hemp Initiative. And Jack and I stumped the state together until '94 working on that initiative. I went over to Europe for a while, but whenever we came back from a trip to Europe, there we would be back on the street working for this initiative and putting thousands of hours on it. I tell you, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't believe in it, because over the years I've seen a lot of ideas for how to do an initiative and for how to change the laws and how it should be regulated. And the beautiful thing about the California Hemp Initiative is that it respects the plant for what it is, and it respects adults for what they are, and it doesn't feel like we need a nanny government state in between us and every choice we make. We got 1996, we did Proposition 215. Jack was no fan of Proposition 215. In fact, he was against it. Jack said that if we got Proposition 215 passed, then what would happen is we would have a group of people who had a vested interest in the medical marijuana thing who wouldn't care about moving on. And he said they would become complacent and it would be harder to make progress. Well, I believed in Prop 215 and I worked on it. I think it did a lot of good. But it did do what Jack was afraid of as well. It took some of the wind out of the sails of the broader legalization movement. And it didn't legalize sales, which is the backbone of America. We're a free enterprise nation. This is based on the idea that you make a product, you can sell that product, you can make money, then you can build a better life for yourself. But Proposition 215 didn't have that in there, so we had to go to the California legislature. And what did they pass? Senate Bill 420. Well, I love Senate Bill 420. Created collectives all over the state, allowed us the defense for every major felony charged for marijuana. You had a legal defense if you were a patient. Except for one little thing, it was passed by the state legislature, so that means that the state legislature can change it. And this year, in fact of the matter, the legislature is getting ready to gut it. This California legislature is working on AB 266 right now, and the plan of that bill is to create two sets. Either you're a commercial interest with a friendly city or county that gives you a license and you're putting a lot of money back into the system, or else you're a felon. All dispensaries, all collectives with more than 5 people in them are going to be illegal. They're getting rid of all the legal protections that we've built up. And most people don't even know that. When I talk to the patients, they don't know it, because where do they get their information? They get it from the dispensaries. And what do the dispensaries think? They think they're going to be protected. But I don't think they're going to be protected. I see this as being a really dangerous thing that we should all be calling our legislators right now to tell them to restore all the protections for patients. Don't pass that law like it is right now. It's a wet dream for cops. But what about us? What about the sick and the dying? What about the people who have been building and growing this, building collectives and growing this plant for all these years? Do we really want everybody to go back in prison? This thing's going to go into effect before the end of next year if it gets passed and signed by the governor. And so what are we going to do then? Then we have to wait for the initiative. Well, what's the initiative going to be? Well, we're not exactly sure. It could even be more than one initiative. You know, a lot of people were not happy with Proposition 19 in 2010, which I did like. The reason I liked it was because it said that people who use marijuana had all their civil rights were protected. It said that all the protections of Senate Bill 420 and Prop 215 would be preserved. It said that you could grow any amount of marijuana for yourself and for your friends, and that would be a legal offense in court. It said that you could have businesses all over the state. But you know what? It didn't get passed, and a lot of people didn't even understand what it said. And a lot of the reason people didn't understand what Prop 19 would have done, that we would not be talking right now about Senate Bill 420 being destroyed and the collectives all being shut down if Prop 19 had passed. The reason that people didn't get it is because we all had a big division in the state. Some people said it has to be the perfect law. Other people say get what we can. But we only had one law on the ballot to choose from, and that was Prop 19, and I think it was a terrible, terrible mistake that we didn't do it. And one of the mistakes that happened was the people in the movement chose to fight about it rather than work together. It's time to work together. We have very little time left. This is not a game. If the legislature takes away Senate Bill 420, there is no plan B. You will be able to only grow for yourself, and only if the city or county that you live in allows you to. If you have more than 5 people, you will have to get a license, and the chances of getting that license are very small, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. This is what we're up against. So come 2016, we cannot split our movement over the language on the ballot. I believe that this is the best language. This is the initiative that I'm so proud of you guys for keeping the faith, for struggling together, for doing this work. Because this is a great initiative. It does what we want. It gives us the potential, with very little government intervention, to go ahead and save this California environment. We should be growing hemp as a crop, as a way of saving water right now, instead of growing almonds, which are gluttons for water. We should be using hemp for fuel instead of fracking. We should be doing all these things, and we know it, and we know that the way that it works in America is that you unleash the raw potential of our people, and you put it in conjunction with the resources that are sustainable. That means not just our generation, but our children's generation, and the 7 generations after them will all survive. That's what the California Hemp Initiative does. It's a big struggle ahead, guys. Each one of us here has to collect the 100,000 signatures of us. Not really. What are we talking about? 500,000 signatures. But then you need the over, so you got 500,000 signatures. So if there's a couple hundred of us here, then that means each of us has to get thousands of signatures to make this thing work. And it's not going to happen like that. Well, I know some people can get a few thousand signatures here, like Mikey. But most of us are not going to do that. So we need the time to be getting more and more people on board. I totally salute this movement. I'm so proud of you guys for doing the fight. I believe in the language. Right now there's a big conflict going on in people who are working to get an initiative passed, because as you all know, CCHi is not the only initiative idea out there. There's like 7 of them. And there's a good chance that the initiative is going to be funded. It's not going to be CCHi. That it's going to be an initiative that's not exactly as broad as it. The reason for this is because there's 2 theories about what to do, and it's complicated by our President Barack Obama. Because Obama came in like he was our friend, then he screwed everybody in 2010, and now he's being our friend again. But his administration released a memo that said that the federal government will respect state laws that allow for marijuana use, as long as those are strict laws and they're robustly enforced. Strict laws robustly enforced, that's what prohibition is. So what they're talking about is giving us a prohibition light, and that's what we end up with. Well, you know, as I said,